dear students, to this massive online program for discussion on Indian economy. The topic of discussion of today's program is Gandhian and Nehruvian models of development, comparison and contrast. You will be learning from this model discussion understanding the perspective of features of Gandhian model of development, understanding the perspective and features of Nehruvian model of development, and compare and contrast of both the models. Our plan of discussion today comprises 7 sections. 1. Introduction. 2. Perspectives of Gandhian model of development, features of Gandhian model of development, perspectives of Nehruvian model of development, Nehruvian model of development main features, and comparison between Gandhian and Nehruvian models of development. Lastly, we shall conclude. In this section, we shall try to afford the very perspective, the very reasons for discussion of this topic. You are all aware that Gandhi and Nehru were great leaders of the Indian nation toward an independent state. But their values and methods and the notions of the term progress vastly differ. India chose to embrace a Nehruvian development scheme, and it is vital that we compare the idealizations of Nehru and Gandhi. In this model, we compare and contrast Gandhian and Nehruvian models of development. Next section, perspectives of Gandhian model of development. Gandhiji developed his ideas and built development model in the perspectives of degeneration of India during the East India rule and the British rule in the country. Circumstances that led to the development of Gandhian model include the period, the closing decades of the 19th century and early decades of the 20th century. Gandhiji's ideas on Swadeshi has come to be a part of the struggle against the British rule. You are quite aware. Gandhiji's thoughts were inspired by the ancient Indian thoughts on development and human welfare. In Hind Swaraj book, Gandhiji cautioned against mankind, against unrestricted industrialization and materialism. Though he was not opposed to machines, he definitely opposed the large-scale use of machinery. Now we come to the third section, features of Gandhian model of development. First feature is Gandhian model of development sees development in a comprehensive sense, meaning thereby socio-economic and cultural development. He put his accent on steady-state development, that is, nothing radical and Western is embodied in his development model. Gandhiji led and played the crucial role, primary role and importance in his model on agriculture, including animal husbandry and crafts. We now deal with the features of Gandhian model of development. The features include the meaning of development as per Gandhi. Gandhi conceptualized development in a very comprehensive sense, meaning thereby socio-economic and cultural development. He put accent on steady state growth and development. His model includes the greatest accent on agriculture, animal husbandry, and crafts. He was after attainment of maximum self-sufficient growth of the economy, particularly the village economy. He was against large-scale industrialization. Gandhiji advocated decentralized economy, certain integration of industries, particularly small-scale industries and agriculture, he did do. He comprehended labor-intensive methods of production in a country which is having labor surplus. His doctrine of trusteeship is well known to all of us. He always pleaded for labor's welfare. There are shorter terms of work, more leisure, and he also demanded some inside measures inside the factories so that the people's welfare, laborers' welfare is maximized. Other features include his simple life. Gandhiji opted for simple life because if wants are multiplied, then our resources which are given will not be enough to satisfy those large wants. Then we come to the fourth section, perspectives of Nehruvian model of development. As you are aware, Gandhiji disciple Nehru had some own vision, had some own mission, and also some views on political economy. From the political economy perspective, Nehru developed his model of development. And this political economy perspective comprises not only the Indian nation, the country, but also the Western countries of the world. In fact, the perspective of Nehruvian model of development just shows us that Nehru was a highly modern personality. He advocated modernization, and in that perspective, he developed his model based on economic planning, based on large-scale industrialization, based on large-scale mechanization, and large-scale development of infrastructure. He also had some socialist tendencies. He believed that large-scale industrial development and planning-based economic growth would enable India to catch up the level in the global area. To him, the construction of a planned economy is necessary to achieve socialism. Now we come to the next section, main features of Nehruvian model. Gandhiji very carefully and deeply followed the Soviet and Chinese examples so that Indian economy particularly exhibits the very rapid economic growth. He visualized that Indian nation would be at par with the West in terms of economic growth and development. Foreign aid was the principal element in the Nehruvian model of development. In fact, while Nehru was planning for large-scale industrialization, he definitely was careful, aware that this program of large-scale industrialization would involve huge funds, and that fund really enlists capital accumulation. But since the Indian economy is relatively poor, India cannot be self-sufficient to carry out the program of rapid industrialization, rapid economic growth. Therefore, he was in favor of foreign aid, foreign capital. But he put some caution, put some constraint on the flow of foreign capital. He thought that, and he designed that foreign capital flow, though necessary, but it should be controlled in the interest of the state. Therefore, he was in favor of controlled inflow of foreign capital and foreign aid. Besides, Nehru also put much emphasis, accent on internal resources, internal capital resources that may flow from the Indian capitalists. And here he was very definitely liberal. He was, in fact, emphasizing on large-scale utilization of internal capital resources to promote large-scale industrialization, rapid economic growth, and also for the welfare of the people. He had, like Gandhi, some balancing between the rural and the urban sectors of the economy. He did not like that some division will be created between rural and urban development. Therefore, he was up and doing to create a balance between rural development and urban development in the interest of some coordinated development of the economy of the country. In this fifth section, we shall be dealing with main features of Nehruvian model of development. These features include growth with social justice, state control over the commanding heights of the economy, great importance assigned to agriculture. We have already seen that Nehru was in favor of accelerated economic growth so that other sectoral development will be also taking place and accelerated. Nehru opted for state control over the commanding heights of the economy because this will be a regulated development of the whole economy and also the whole country. Nehru gave primary importance on agricultural development, green revolution, that is high-yielding variety technology, was being experimented in the world, and his development model includes this kind of HIV technology use. This was opted for the program Grow More Food so that the country is self-sufficient in food. He also, in his model, put accent on generation of hydroelectricity. This was opted to promote irrigational development. The development of this infrastructure will be promoting agricultural growth. He also considered dams, big dams, large-scale dams, to be the very symbol of India's economic growth. Now we come to the sixth section where we shall be dealing with comparison between Gandhian and Nehruvian models of development. Here we first come to the similarity between Gandhi and Nehru. Like Gandhi, Nehru believed in individual freedoms, and along with that, he has put accent on heavy industries, but in contrast, Gandhi has put primary accent on the development of cottage industries and handicrafts. Gandhi also opted for spiritual development and harmony, which was definitely the rejection of materialism, which is definitely liked and opted by Nehru, and here is again the contrast. Gandhian focus was on human development, which would be accelerating the eradication of poverty, social conflict, backwardness in developing nations. But here also we find that Nehruvian economics and growth are not matching this kind of human development, because here capitalist development was in fact opted for by Nehru. Gandhiji's economic emphasis was on plain living. He put emphasis on this because our country should be self-sufficient, self-generating and self-reliant. Material growth or material development only cannot do justice to the very, very practical human development in the situation which is confronting the Indian society. In fact, Nehru was in favor of industrial mode of living, while Gandhiji was opting for very indigenous, very simple mode of living. Here is again the contrast. Another point of contrast between the two models is the issue of environmental development. Gandhiji was in favor of environmental protection and did not see anything which is going to the adverse impact on agricultural development or environmental development. And therefore, Gandhi was in favor of small projects, not big ones, as was opted for by Nehru. Thus, we are having some sort of contrast while large dams, hydraulic projects large enough, were promoted by Nehru. Gandhiji was in favor of small-scale projects which will be in consonance with the resource endowment of the country. Now we come to the last section, conclusion. We have already learned that Gandhian model of development and Nehruvian model of development have got some similarities. Again, there are also differences. These differences and similarity arise out of different perspectives of development that Gandhi and Nehru had. In fact, we do believe that Gandhian model of development is purely indigenous model of development based on Indian social fabric, based on Indian culture, based on glorious traditions that India can boast of. On the other hand, Nehruvian model is based on materialism, is based on rapid industrialization, and therefore, while these two models differ to a large extent, they are also having some similarities because the perspectives of Nehru and those of Gandhi do not differ always. There are some points of similarity, there are some points of divergence. However, we may conclude in this way that Gandhian model of development and Nehruvian model of development have both some illuminating merits, though they are having also some differences between these two models. We may conclude in this LPG model liberalization, privatization, and globalization era, where we are all aware that there has been economic globalization, cultural globalization in India, which are causing some kind of distress, some kind of agony among the people. Economic poverty, though poverty rate is declining, but there is still massive poverty among Indian people. And there is also growing economic inequality. In this context, we believe Gandhian model of development and Nehruvian model of development have some relevances to enable the people to get rid of the distressed conditions. Since Gandhian model is purely indigenous, Indian culture, Indian social fabric based, Nehruvian model has tried to modernize Indian economy, to accelerate economic growth and development, because he was confident that accelerating economic growth will be helpful to eradicate some of the social and cultural evils. Thus, we are of the very great hope that in the days present as well as coming generations will be finding some sort of avenues, some sort of light from their developmental thoughts, from the development models, and this will enable us to find the better days for the coming generations. Thank you.